Here we go, here we go, here we go. I like to start the show. Yo, yo, yo. This is not the smartest guys in the room. How are you doing today, Tom? What's going on?
I'm doing well, buddy. I'm doing well. Yeah, for some reason on Clubhouse on my side, like there was no little button to join. So I was like, let me in, man. It's time for the show. But yeah, but other than that, doing pretty well. How you doing?
Maybe it's just a private room. Well, who knows? Well, there's so much going on in the world today, Tom. We're going to talk about knowing your audience, but you have Super Bowls, you have Olympics, you have presidents doing all kinds of things, countries doing all kinds of things. I mean, there's so much in the world today, Tom. So I will start with just a how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I've been watching the Olympics quite a bit. I know we don't have Becky and I got rid of our broadcast cable years ago. So we don't have the broadcast access. And so really like the best way to watch the Olympics is Peacock, right? Is through their streaming app. And we were going to just sign up for a couple of months, just pay for it for a couple of months to watch the Olympics and whatever. But then I found out that one of my credit cards through Chase has a deal that it's like so convoluted. I don't even know how I found out about this. Like the algorithm fed this to me on Instagram, but basically there's one of the credit cards I have gets you a complimentary 3-month trial of Instacart Plus. Okay. And if you sign up for that 3-month trial of Instacart Plus, it comes with a free 3 months of Peacock. Like Instacart Plus, for whatever reason, includes a Peacock subscription. I don't know why. I don't know how that makes any sense. I don't know what the machinations of that business deal were, but it does. And so because I got the free Instacart Plus thing for 3 months, I also got free Peacock for 3 months. So we have just been watching the crap out of the Olympics because there's a lot of other stuff to watch there, and we're not watching stuff that we usually watch. We both like sort of caught up. Becky and I independently caught up on Stranger Things and are like getting ready to watch the final season to apparently be disappointed by the finale. According to everything that we've seen, I have no idea. No spoilers. I have no idea what happens in the finale, but apparently it's a letdown. A lot of people are saying, but regardless, we're kind of putting all of that on hold and just watching the crap out of the Olympics. So I've been enjoying that. I mean, as you know, I mean, you're a skier also. I'm a skier. I've been skiing since I was a kid. I went skiing last week. Had a great time. Just went solo for the day, and despite the fact that I ended up taking about 45 minutes to help a skier who had crashed right in front of me and get them loaded up with ski patrol and stuff, I still got like 18 runs in for the day. And because I helped ski patrol with the skier that crashed, the mountain was kind enough to give me a free pass for a day. So now I have a day pass that I can use anytime for the rest of the season for that mountain. So that's nice too. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of the skiing. We were watching some of the short track speed skating last night. Man, they were just crashing all over the place. It was wild. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. How about you? Are you watching the Olympic Games from Milan Cortina?
Yeah, I'm loving it, man. I'm loving all the different events. We're talking knowing your audience today, so I'll even go right into knowing your audience from the Olympics. They give me four different channels. Like I can see it on Peacock, NBC. I have a USA that shows it, and then sometimes it's on like another, I think maybe CNBC or something like that. So they air it multiple times a day. Then they wrap it up at night. They cut to a story of somebody winning, and they show you, Lindsey Vonn downhill, and then they'll cut back and show you curling for the first time, the team, and they show you the parents of the curlers, and then the ice skaters, and the story behind the ice. So they're jumping. No, I I can't watch this cross country skiing for 2 hours, but I like it. And now they showed me cross country skiing for 2 hours. And then they showed me the cross country sprint where they're running uphill on skis. It's incredible, Tom. So I love all things Olympic. I am in. So that's what I'll throw back to you.
Well, the cross country skiing, the guy running up the hill, just made me think of a reel that Becky actually sent me last night, and it was a guy commentating on, I think it was the winner of that event, who was apparently basically running a sub 6 minute mile uphill on skis, which is just crazy. I mean, I run. And yesterday I was doing, I don't know, 6 something pace on the treadmill for like short intervals, right? Like, but yeah, I did like 7 miles in an hour, and a bunch of it was like short intervals at like 6 something pace. But anyway, like for the like him, it's stupefying, like to be able to do that, right? For the length of time that he was doing it. But my favorite quote from the guy who was commentating on it was, "Of all the athletic things that I'm not able to do, I am incapable of doing that the most." which I thought was a great way to put it.
Those Olympics, absolutely, absolutely inspiring. The dude going uphill completely crazy to you being out and helping somebody skiing this weekend. The falls, when I see a fall, like last year I fell so many times skiing, and each year I'm getting a little better. But last year I fell, thought I broke my leg, hurt my neck one time. Like the one time I fell, I looked down and felt my body to see if my bones were sticking out of my legs. Like that's how it felt. And to see Lindsey Vonn forward, these people going 80 or 90, my body, me, I could never, ever, ever do that. And it's so scary and crazy. So, Tom, so Olympics, you think they're doing it right?
I mean, I think they're doing a good job. It's like it's tough, right? Because they've got like, hundreds of athletes, right, across all of these different sports from all of these different countries, and probably 50% of them have stories compelling enough to do like a 30 for 30 on them, right? So I mean, like literally hundreds of amazing stories to tell of athletes overcoming adversity, overcoming injury, recovering from injury, coming back, right? Like their dedication to their sport, their commitment to training, like all of these really inspirational things, the work and the effort that they put in to it to get to this place once every 4 years, to compete against each other, to measure themselves against the other best athletes in the world. I mean, it's really compelling, and it's hard. It's incredibly hard. Like I'm looking at it a little bit from like a producer's perspective. Like, God, I mean, how do you decide, like, of all these compelling stories, how do you like get down into the minutia of like, well, this one's just slightly more compelling, right? This one's just a hair more compelling than the other one, and so that's the story we're going to tell, right? I mean, and obviously NBC is an American broadcaster, right? So they're heavily favoring American athletes and American stories. Totally makes sense. As I'm sure other broadcasters are doing the same for their athletes. Like I'm sure the British broadcasters, the BBC is favoring British athletes, right? So like that just makes sense. But man, I mean, there's just like it's like going to, like, it's the equivalent of going to like a buffet where every single thing on the buffet is the best thing you've ever eaten, right? And then being told you have to pick your favorite, right? And just being like frozen deer in headlights. Like, how am I supposed to do that? That's impossible. And yet somehow they have to do it. So I think overall they're doing a good job. I think the coverage is good. I appreciate that they have a lot of former athletes, former Olympic athletes, as commentators to really help people understand the intricacies of how the sports are judged or scored. Because like I don't like, if you asked me to explain curling, I would just go, nah, let's look up a video on that, right? Like I wouldn't try to explain it. So having somebody there to explain it, help me understand the scoring and who's doing well versus who isn't, especially when it's some of those differences are so minute. I think overall, I think they're doing a good job, and I think they're doing a good job of understanding their audience, right? Their audience is both people who are watching and choosing to watch sports because they have a personal connection to those sports and they love those sports. They might do some of those sports recreationally, like us for skiing, like we were talking about. Um, but also, I think of explaining sports that other people are just discovering and exposing people to new sports. I think that's a really valuable thing that the Olympics do every 4 years is expose people to sports that they didn't know or understand or appreciate beforehand. So yeah, so I think overall they're doing a good job. What do you think? I mean, you're seeing it from a slightly. I'm only seeing it through Peacock. You're seeing it on broadcast and stuff too. So, out of curiosity, what's your takeaway? How do you think they're doing?
I think they're doing a home run. The delay, it's a home run. The delay is tough, just that you've got the 6, 8 hour time difference to Milan or whatever that is. So in today's world, being able to see so much on social and see it on the different channels. Like I could go. We're recording this mid morning right now. I could go upstairs and see what's going to be on at 8 o'clock tonight, right now, probably, or in an hour. So it is tough with everybody and information everywhere. Like I want to sit there with my lovely wife tonight at 8 o'clock and watch the events of the day. But if I get on social, I might find out that Lindsey Vaughn had to be airlifted off, and so it's hurting that ideal experience of watching at 8 o'clock with my wife later live. But to get all those stories in and things like that, I think we accept that and put our phones down and try to snooze Olympics or whatever for the day, because I really don't want to know until tonight, Tom. So that's my answer on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I actually like. I mean, Lindsey Vohn's a perfect example. I heard about her crash before I saw it. Right. I still watched the downhill finals because I was curious anyway. And again, as a skier, I wanted to see it. But yeah, and to your point too, I watched the men's downhill finals also. And I think a bunch of the men topped out just over 91 miles an hour on that course, which is just I mean, it's crazy. Like I've gone about 60 miles an hour on skis. It's probably about the fastest I've ever gone. Maybe just over, but like not, maybe 61, 62, something like that. Like, but that's about the fastest I've ever gone on skis. I can't imagine going 90 miles an hour, like another 30 miles an hour on top of that. Like just 60 miles an hour feels crazy, right? 60 miles an hour on skis feels insane. But to go 90 miles an hour on skis feels like it just sounds ludicrous. I can't imagine what that feels like. I don't think I ever want to find out because I'm not sure I'd be able to hold it together at 90 miles an hour. And I definitely don't want to go down that fast. I crashed at like 50 plus miles an hour once, and that hurt real bad. I did not break anything, but yeah, I think I cracked a rib or two. I was really bruised up and beat up for a while. So yeah, it's yeah, I don't want to go 90 miles an hour on skis. That's too fast, even for me.
That is fair, Tom. So for this argument, for knowing your audience today, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're gonna talk about. Going to talk about. I'm gonna quit saying. I'm gonna quit saying gonna and try to be more articulate and saying going to talk about. So today, going to talk about knowing your audience. And so let's just say us in general, Tom, or me as a publisher of books. Me as a publisher of books, I try to put out inspirational content 24/7 in my media company, Motivation Champs Media. I try to put out inspirational content and share inspirational content. We might talk about the Olympics. We might talk about the Super Bowl. I'm not the smartest guys in the room. Tom might give a thumbs up or thumbs down to something that what Tom does is different than what I do. And we don't always want to talk. Just because people like motivation doesn't mean they don't want to talk about the Super Bowl or business or Bad Bonnie or halftime shows or how people dress or puppies or anything like that. But I steer motivationally, inspirational. That's what I do. So for me, I think that's the audience that looks for that kind of content. They I look for when it comes to knowing your audience feedback. If people say something people hate from me, Tom, that I've got over the years, that my audience does not like swearing. They have told me, or the content that I share with swearing in it, for the most part, they're like, this is, what's this guy saying these words so much for? So I backed that down because my audience has not supported that. Although there could be inspirational, there's like guys like David Goggins who say F and every other word, and he's one of the toughest dudes in the world, was in all four branches of the military and things like that. Goggins is super inspirational. My audience has said, maybe so, but we don't want to hear all the swearing and things like that that he does, or Gary Vee or something like that. So I am always looking for feedback from my audience, Tom. The feedback audience gives us, listen to it, and see based on where you want to go, where your brand you think you need to go. Okay, I'm going to deliver that kind of content on mission, on brand with what they have said. So that's me knowing audience. What say you? And then let's hear from Dr. Tachi, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think like here's the thing is I think often what people miss when it comes to knowing your audience is first identify who your audience is, and they may not be exactly like you, right? To your point, Tom, like, you might, think you might really identify with, or David Goggins, who's apparently made pain his whole identity and cursing about it, like, and aggressively trying to shout down pain, right? Like that seems to be his identity. You might really enjoy his content, right? And that style of content. But your audience doesn't necessarily, right? And I think the idea is that you have to separate yourself from your audience a little bit. I mean, you have to stay true to your values. And I think it's important that you make sure that your values align and that you're not trying to appeal to an audience that has a disparate set of values from your own, which I don't think you're doing, to be clear. I wasn't aiming that as a critique. I was just saying, I think broadly, I think people need to make sure that they do that, right? That they align with values, align with their audience on values. But how you sort of express yourself or communicate may differ slightly from your audience, right? I think actually, like, for me, there's a really clear example of me sort of identifying this and taking action based on it. And that is, like, I just created a separate social media profile. We were just talking about it right before we got on. It's called Tommy Made, right? Which is a nickname I got years ago up in Boston when I was working for MTV. This Boston AAA baseball player that I was working with on a show started calling me Tommy Made, right? Like with his Boston accent. So that was what he just called me the whole time. And it stuck a little bit. People have called me that on and off for years, and it was available on Instagram, so I made that a profile. But the point is, the reason why I created that separate profile is because I recognized that while my audience and I align on values, right? And I'm not trying to separate who I am from my business. I also want to communicate things that maybe don't belong in my business feed, right? Maybe don't belong on Talex Media's social media profile. Right. And I'm not trying to separate myself completely from Talex Media, but I want to be clear that sometimes I'm going to say things in a particular way, and it's meant for a separate audience from Talex Media's audience. Right. And so I created a separate lane for it. It doesn't belong on Talex Media. It's not how I want to communicate with that audience. It's not pertinent to what I want to communicate to that audience. And so I took it into a separate lane. Right. And I think a lot of times people don't create that separation, and they actually try to communicate with their audience as if they're speaking to themselves. And that's a classic mistake I see businesses make all the time. And it even, like, it metastasizes and sort of bleeds over into the content that they produce. And you end up with a business or a brand that creates content for themselves rather than for their audience, right? Because they think that if they like it, their audience will like it. And meanwhile, they're totally wrong, right? Their audience doesn't have the same investment that they have in their business or their brand. And so they don't care and they don't identify with that content, right? So they're kind of missing the boat. But I think it's important to know who your audience is and know who you're talking to. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Super Bowl. I think it's also important And I think NFL is actually, the NFL is doing this. But it's also important to understand that audiences change over time. Your audience is not stagnant. They are not fixed, right? Your audience is going to change over time, depending on who your primary customers and consumers are, and that's going to change over time, right? So, like, it is not a fixed thing. It is not stagnant, and I think it's important that organizations and businesses recognize that and they change with their audience, right? Rather than trying to fight against that change. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Uh, and yeah, then we'll move down to move around to Dr. Tachi and see what she's got to say on the subject. Or I'll throw it back to you.
All right, let's go. We're talking knowing your audience. Jason, we'll go to you first if you want to speak on knowing your audience. A tip for knowing your audience, a business that knows their audience. What do you have for us? Go on, my friend.
The only thing I could say about knowing my audience is the first demographic, the age, the second part, the gender, the third part, what is the kind of message that is frequent, consistently put out there. After that, it's it's a little bit of chance and are you really good with what you tell in a story, whether you're promoting visually or auditory or written? I mean, how people connect with you is the ability to convey the story to their needs. And I found most of my audience is between the ages of 35 and 45. Typically, even though I cover parts of Stoicism and other philosophies, but real life experience, uh, I think it's like 62% women and the rest male. So, and my vision was to connect with more males. But so if I wanted to change those numbers around, I had to start looking, well, what are males between 35 and 45 or 55? You know, are they looking for this kind of message? So that was a challenge. But now I just kind of like, okay, if I'm just only wanting to direct to males or men, am I killing the main audience that really likes to engage with what I produce? And I found like, okay, well, stop trying to control the gender narrative. Start focusing on better story, better connections, comments, shares, and what people reason with. And that's where I really found more value. When I look at what people reason with, then it's a lot easier to get out to more people.
Jason, appreciate it. And I am a consumer of your content. And so it could be time of day, knowing when this person's going to be on as well, knowing how quick I need to catch them, common themes. I've been, I have this note written down for something I'm doing later, and I'm thinking about this thought universal truths. So the human experience, universal truths, if we talk about love, loss, grief, passion, hope, these are things that everybody can connect with. And so let's say you talk a lot about the Stoics, Jason. I've learned about the Stoics from other books that I've read, but I don't know about the Stoics. I haven't read the Stoics yet. So leading with Stoics doesn't catch me because I don't know enough about them unless you, Jason, the person I'm following, tells me why the Stoic is important to me. So you tell me that, and if you can do it quick, then I'll listen to the message. Go on, Jason.
Well, base stoicism is a process of living better you, right? So what's happening in the world? A lot of people are confused. They feel like they don't have a voice and they feel like their problems are busting them to broke mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. So why would stoicism be so important? Well, if you control you better and you have your reasoned choice better, and you feel like you want to get control of your life a little bit better so that you can make more adequate choices, then a process of stoicism will work for you. It also reminds you what happens when you're just completely broken, and what do you rebuild with? What do you refocus with? And how can you accept yourself with emotions? Well, people don't want to look at old guy wisdom, so I translate it into modern day language with real experience.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
I think when you do that, Jason, that's when you grab me. And so modern day, okay, old guy wisdom now, like you said, and then how do you take it modern day? All right, we're talking knowing your audience. Appreciate you, Jason, man. Hang out. Dr. Tachi, did you want to weigh in on the NFL or NFL? I'm segueing to segue. So, Dr. Tachi, if you want to weigh in and give me a 3, 2, 1, jump off there. Okay, come on, Dr. Tachi, what do you got?
Am I weighing in on the audience?
We're weighing in on knowing your audience. Tom's giving a heads up, so he's listening. Weigh in. You got it.
Yeah. So for me, and good morning. For me, knowing the audience comes with asking the audience questions. Because I live stream, it's very easy for me to ask questions in the moment. I mean, just similar to this. This is just, live streaming without, with voices on all ends and without, never mind, because you're live streaming it because you're doing it. But so you understand the live streaming thing. But I'm asking questions like simple things like, okay, where's everybody watching from? So I get to know where you're watching from and who you are. That also gives me a clue into maybe what's happening in your part of the world. And those are things that I can draw into what I'm saying. And then I can ask. You can do the, live surveys. What do you all think? In fact, a good idea or a good example rather of this was I used to, for 10 years, I was broadcasting on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Well, I kind of got to the point where I'm like, oh, this is a lot in the middle of the week. I've been doing this for 10 years. And I noticed that I got positive feedback when I went live because I needed to on a Friday one time. And we did like kind of a Mediascope after dark. So I said, hey, what do you guys think about moving Mediascope to Friday at 8 since you guys, and they liked it. So now that's why I do Fridays at 8 when we're in season. So it's about asking them questions about what they would like to see, what would benefit them. Because again, you're not doing this just for you. You could be talking to an empty room if that's the case. You're doing it for an audience, and your audience matters. So that's knowing your audience. That for me, that's knowing the audience by asking them questions.
I mean, I think that makes a ton of sense, Dr. Tachi, right? I think that's one of the places, and it's great advice. One of the places where a lot of people go wrong is they don't listen to their audience, right? They think they know best. They think they know what their audience wants, even when their audience is shouting at them that they want something else, right? They will still try to give them something that they think their audience wants, right? And will just try to fight and swim against that current, and ultimately get swept under, right? Get caught in that undertow because they won't listen, right? And if you're creating content for an audience, if you're a business, you're serving a community, you're serving an audience, right? The onus is on you to listen to them, right? If you're going to make a product, you have to make sure you're making a product that people want to buy. You can't browbeat them into supporting your brand or your business if it isn't something that they actually want. So anyway, I totally agree with you. I think that's great advice. Definitely ask questions and listen to the answers, for crying out loud. Don't just ask questions. You gotta listen to the answers, right? So yeah, I don't know. That's what I think. What do you think, Dom?
I think to your point, we got to give people what they want, Tom. So giving them what they want means it is time for Tom's thumbs. That's for Tom, who can be somewhat cranky at times and also positive, gives us a thumbs up or a thumbs down to something going on in media, pop culture, anything I want to ask him about. So Tom, today, this is a complex one. What do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down to the male and female figure skaters' outfits?
It's really funny, but I have literally not watched any figure skating. yet so far in the Olympics. I'm not particularly a fan of figure skating. It's not exciting for me to watch. So I haven't watched, I literally have not even seen a clip of figure skating. So I don't even know what they're wearing. So you picked the Tom's Thumbs, and I have no point of reference. I don't even know what they're wearing, or if they're wearing anything different than they've worn in the past. Like I have no idea. I've not watched a second of figure skating in the Olympics. Sorry to disappoint. I can't give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down because I just don't know.
Is this after 100 Tom's Thumbs? This is our first. What would you call that? Like when thumbs go neutral thumbs or no thumbs?
Well, there was one other one where you gave me one and I kind of pushed back because I was like, I can't give that a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I don't remember what it was, but there was one other where I was like, that's not a thumbs up or a thumbs down kind of thing. I forget what it was. But yeah, I think this is the first time where I've just been like, I just don't have any point of reference or any information. I mean, like, I know what figure skaters have worn in the past, but I don't know if are they wearing different stuff this year?
No. So, Dr. Tachi, I'm going to need help on this. But Tom, the male outfits, I don't know why they have to be so. For me, I don't know why they have to be so like artsy or spandexy or like it's so it's odd for such an athletic performance, and then the females doing it are in like these beautiful outfits that seem to complement everything about them, when in the male form it seems to be contrary to a male figure and a male athlete. So that's what I'm going with, Tom.
All right. So here's what I'll do is I will in terms of I understand why the outfits are sort of certain ways, right? And that's, I think, because of what they're designed to do, right? I think it's function, right, really that dictates like that they are sort of tight and designed and to be made out of like spandex and things, fabrics like that, right? So that they're light, they're tight, but they're very flexible and they're easy to move in, right? So I think that makes a ton of sense to me. And in terms of like, the sort of the glitter and the sparkles and the sequins and all that kind of stuff, that also sort of makes sense because you have this person on the ice doing all this sort of intricate acrobatics, right? Jumps and spins and moving around really quickly. And those sparkles, those sequins actually serve a function, right? They reflect light in a certain way that allows the audience to actually be able to see better what the person is doing. If somebody was wearing just like flat black spandex, half the time you wouldn't be able to tell what they were doing with their body, right? When they were spinning, you wouldn't be able to tell how fast they were spinning, where they were spinning, right? Like, so I think ultimately, I will weigh in. I will fulfill my duty as the Tom here on the show, who has two thumbs, and I will actually give you a verdict, and it's going to be a little bit surprising, but I will give the outfits a thumbs up because I believe that they're designed both to accomplish multiple purposes, and they do it well. Design wise, am I a fan? No, but like it's not something you would wear out on the street. Similarly, when I wear a tri-suit, for races, like I wouldn't just walk around in that, right? And you give me grief about it all the time, but it's designed for a purpose and it does that. It fulfills that purpose really well. So I understand why they wear what they wear to some extent. The design, I could take it or leave it. But in terms of functionality and why they're designed the way they're designed, I'll give them a thumbs up. I think they do the job that they're designed to do.
Our first ever comeback thumbs. It went from no thumbs to a thumbs up. That's a strong take. Functionality, and the point of sparkles is interesting, and I will tell you, you've got to get into figure skating. It's great. The dual one, male, female, where they're throwing each other and stuff like that. And I was mad the one day when the somebody's in the male and female when I didn't think their outfits correlated enough. There was some lines on one team had lines. They both had lines on their thing. So when they spun, it conceptually, like visually, looked like they were spinning faster and things like that because they both had the same lines on their other team where they were wearing opposite outfits. I didn't get that same visual effect. So to your point of glitter, or something where the eye sparkles and hits a shoe a certain way or whatever. That makes a lot of sense. So, Tom, you sound pretty smart today. Dr. Tachi, what do you think? Tom's analysis of Olympic outfits, was it solid?
Yes. I have to agree with him. I just know in terms of, well, with the figure skating or whatever, figure skating, it's athleticism, but it's also dance. So I know dance, and what they wear is very similar to what you would wear if you were doing ballet. Yeah, that's the closest thing I can see to ballet. So it makes sense because it is an art form that's also rooted in dance.
Fair take. Jason, you flashed off before. Did you want to go contrary to Tom's take on this? What do you got?
Well, I mean, I think it's very hard for people to see ice skating or figure skating as a sport because the visual part of the overemphasis of the display of the outfits to many men, they may not be interested because it's overly feminine for them, and that might be a rejecting thing. It's like, well, you know, do women want to watch Greco wrestling? Probably not. Maybe not. It's a tough sport. They're both, but they have purposes of what they wear to suit the ability to be able to do it. So if they wear sequins and whatever polyester tighter clothing, well, how hard is it to ice skate in a movement that makes it look artistic? It takes a extreme amount of effort. Like I remember ice skating, and it's hard just to even be on your feet without falling on your back. And these people do it like it's nothing, you know. But then you take somebody who's a hockey player, wears bulky stuff. He's wearing all that stuff to protect him, not to make him move faster. So the purpose for what they wear, it's to enhance the display. But do people really see the athletic ability? I think people overstep and they don't see it a lot of times. My mom, she loves watching figure skating. Me, I can appreciate it, but I don't watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there with you, Jason, in terms of appreciating it, and I definitely appreciate the athleticism and the skill and the insane amount of practice and dedication that goes into becoming a world-class figure skater. I'm also like, I'm not the biggest sports spectator fan, right? Like, I mean, really, the reason I'm watching the Olympics is it's both because I enjoy watching like some of the sports that especially like the skiing, right? Again, because I'm a skier, but also because I kind of feel like I should, right? Like I kind of feel an obligation because it only happens every 4 years. But like the Super Bowl was the first football game I watched this year. Like and I grew up playing football. I played football, for 6 years. Like I enjoyed football. I like football, but the first football game I watched this year was the Super Bowl. Because I'm just not like a huge spectator. I love going to football games, right? I enjoy the hell out if I go and watch football with other people, but like you're just not going to catch me sitting on my couch on a Sunday by myself watching a football game. Like it's just not what I'm going to turn to. It's just not my preference. So yeah, I mean, and like figure skating is just meh. Like to me, it's sort of like I'll watch it if it's on, but I'm probably not going to pick it. That's just me though. I mean, I don't know. Dom was shaking his head very angrily when I said the Super Bowl was the first football game I watched this year, because as we all know, Dom is a big Steelers fan, has season tickets, and watches a lot of football. So what do you? Don't hold back, Dom. What are you thinking? What was going through your head when I said that was the first football game I watched this year?
Wow, that was disgusting. And I wonder about our friendship when I'm like, I was just telling my dad, my buddy Tom, he did this and he came to our house and I took him down to Pittsburgh. And now I regret it. No, but seriously, I want to the NFL, Tom. Let's go right in the NFL. NFL had the Super Bowl, 127 million people. I think 127 million people watched it that day. That doesn't mean now in today's media clips, you got to be into the billions with clips controlled by the NFL. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it was hundreds of billions. I mean, that would be a number to find out NFL based clips because people consume content differently these days. So, to our point of our subject today, nobody, the NFL is a juggernaut based on 127 million, based on the potential billion, based on my loyalty, my season tickets, me being mad at my dear friend Tom when he says he doesn't watch, me liking people just because there's a Steeler fan and I'm a Steeler fan. The NFL knows their audience. They spoon feed us, they give us what they want, and they know their audience. So to get into a halftime show, I'm going to lead to this polarizing thing. America can't even agree on a halftime show, and we get mad about it. NFL doesn't care. The NFL knows Dominick's watching that game that day because I love football, and the NFL fan is watching that game regardless for the hard hittings, for the stories, for Sam Darnold, for the players that used to play on my team, for the coaches, for the wins, rooting that the Patriots don't get a seventh Super Bowl when the Steelers have six. All these reasons I'm in. And then they give because they know 127 million people are watching, our 90 million or 80 million football fans, whatever it is, are watching. We're going to give you a halftime performer. The last ones, you can look just on record sales the last 5 years. It's The Weeknd. It's everybody that was selling was who they put at halftime. That's it, bar none. The NFL said, then we're going to give you, because we're so good at getting eyes on our product, we're going to give you another of the world's top performers. And then we're going to get this world's top performers' eyes on our show. And people are going to talk about it. People are going to be mad about it. People are going to disagree, but the NFL doesn't care because the NFL knows their audience for the year. They know their audience for the Super Bowl. They got Tom to watch for the commercials, for the NFL halftime show, whatever reason he watched. So, Tom, I believe 100% the NFL knows their audience. They know the Super Bowl audience. They spoon fed us. I receive it. And I want more of it. And I will lead you into your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the NFL does know their audience, right? And I think a lot of the sort of the pushback and the anger and frustration and the boo-hooing about Bad Bunny, being the halftime performer that we heard both before the Super Bowl and afterwards, a lot of that derives from people just being a little butthurt that they're not the focus of attention anymore, right? That their preference for who should be the halftime show is no longer the preference that actually drives business, right? And so they're kind of feeling a little irrelevant, and that upsets them, right? They're like, but we used to be the most important ones, and they're not anymore. And the NFL has recognized that they're not anymore. They're not the most important demographic to the NFL's business. And so they're moving away from them, right? They're not trying to keep them happy in the same way that they used to, because at the end of the day, they know they are not the future audience of the NFL. And so, people are upset about it, right? People are upset that they're basically being told that they are less relevant than they used to be, right? And it's a hard pill for them to swallow. I think what's really interesting is I actually saw this in the last couple of days. The history of the sort of Super Bowl halftime show is really interesting. So I don't remember what year it was, but it was somewhere in the 90s. The Super Bowl halftime show was just like marching bands and stuff prior to this, right? But then in the 90s, there was a show on TV called In Living Color. Do you remember In Living Color? Right? It was a sketch comedy show for anybody listening who's younger than us or much younger than us. You probably have no idea what In Living Color was, but it was a sketch comedy show. You've obviously heard of the Wayans, some of the Wayans, if not all of the Wayans, right? But the Wayans started that show. The Keenan Ivory Wayans, I think, was the one really the sort of the driving force behind it. It was a sketch comedy show. It was actually the show that gave like Jim Carrey his start, right? It was the show that gave Jennifer Lopez her start. She was a backup dancer. She was a dancer on that show. I forget what they called the dancing team that they had there, but she was one of the dancers on that show. Anyway, they decided to do a live episode during halftime, right? So they did. Oh, the Fly Girls. You're right. So they did a live show during Super Bowl halftime, and they captured a huge chunk of the audience because basically they said, "Look, we will start it after they blow the whistle for halftime, and we will end it before the second half starts, before the third quarter starts, right? So you will not miss any of the game. Come over to Fox, watch In Living Color, right, and then go back and get back to the game in plenty of time." And they captured a huge audience because people were like, "Oh, I could watch like some random marching band walk around and play their trumpets and beat on their drums, or I could go watch something really hilarious and entertaining." And so they did. The next year, after In Living Color did that live broadcast during halftime of the Super Bowl, the next year, the NFL invited Michael Jackson to be the halftime performer. And I remember that performance. I'm sure you do too. Like I remember Michael Jackson's performance, and it was a spectacle, right? It was a huge production with pyrotechnics and everything. But basically, the halftime show as we know it didn't exist prior to the 1990s, didn't exist prior to In Living Color sort of alerting the NFL to the fact that they had lost touch with their audience, right? They just sort of assumed like, the audience is going to use halftime to go do something else, right? And they didn't realize that they actually should do some work to keep that audience captured and stay on the broadcast, right? And so that was sort of the impetus or the beginning of the modern halftime show as we know it. But yeah, I think the NFL has done actually a surprisingly good job of adapting with their audience, knowing who their audience is in terms of their Super Bowl broadcasts. I mean, they've dropped the ball in other places, no pun intended. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting and some interesting information to weigh into seeing just how an organization can adapt to new information, right, and really change course to make sure that they capture and they don't lose their audience, even for part of the broadcast, right? So yeah, so I don't know if you knew that, but I found that really interesting when I heard that the other day.
That is good stuff, Tom. And I was just Googling some stats while you were talking here because I want to give you a counterpoint on the NFL, like knowing their audience or the audience changing. So I go to the games every week, like you said, Pittsburgh game. I sit there for 66,000 people go to the game when it's in Pittsburgh, 66,000. And then people watch in my area, how many, I don't know. So a stat says that an average game's getting 17 million views during the season. What the NFL knows is the Super Bowl is separated from a regular game. So on Super Bowl Sunday, they got 100 million different eyes. My daughter now cares about it. Tom tuned in for the first time. So on Super Bowl Sunday, they are giving a different experience. They know we're getting those 66,000 like me that cheer and wave terrible towels. The team's fans are tuning in. All the football fans, maybe a little more, but on Super Bowl Sunday, they are. It is a different audience. I don't. I think they know their core audience. They know every week we're giving you beer, we're giving you Renegade, we're giving you AC/DC playing in the stands, we're giving you the experience that you love, the hard hits, the mic'd up field and things like that. But on Super Bowl Sunday, we're giving you that, and we're giving you a show. We're giving you the Dorito ads. We're giving you 5 songs before the game starts. I mean, think how different. Think how different the performers before the game were. We had Green Day. We had uh, Lift Every Voice and Sing. Coco Jones, I believe, sings that. Who was the lady that sang America the Beautiful? Man, the NFL said, boom, boom, boom. It's early in this game. So we're gonna get you with one of these bands. You don't like this? Oh, you like this. So I they know what they're doing, Tom. That's what I got. Okay. Tom, go on. What do you got a final thought on that?
No, I think Jason was flashing while I was talking, so I was curious if he had something he wanted to throw in real quick about the NFL knowing their audience.
Real quick, and this is real quick. Remember, Dominic, when we talked, you even texted me, "Hey, I saw more pharmaceutical ads than other ads." Here's where the commercial space has slept off. People used to remember Super Bowl Sunday commercials, especially during the game. They caught a lot of the people's attention. But here's an interesting fact: the demographics that the NFL has to attract is who buys their stuff, who buys their memorabilia the most. And guess what? Latinos were. So was Roger Goodell and the board of directors smart by choosing a Latin artist to do something artistically informative, risky, and get people talking? Because look, there was a counterculture that was created by TPU. They tried to create their own halftime special, and it was a big bust, a big dud. So, what I'd be curious to know, did more people just tune in for the halftime special and then they went to somewhere else? I'd be curious about that because the halftime special, my woman wanted to watch that. We didn't want to watch any of the game. We didn't like any of the teams. We're like, whatever. But she wanted to watch, hey, Bad Bunny. She wanted to see what was going to be the suspense building up 6 months before it even happened. That is excellent marketing. Keep people suspenseful and guessing. You also brought a new audience that typically doesn't get highlighted for, guess what? Financial gain. So look at the commercials changed, look at the demographic changed, and who kept on talking afterwards. That was the best marketing move I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, no, all good. I agree with you, Jason. I think the numbers that I saw were around 127.5 million. I think for the overall broadcast, but then the halftime show jumped up to like 135, right? So you got a bump of like 7.5 million or so just during halftime. Which, interestingly, to your point, also about the TPUSA junk halftime show with with Kid Rock not even being able to lip sync to his own most famous song, which was hilarious to watch clips of. But anyway, that bump was more viewership than the TPUSA show saw on YouTube. So I thought that was interesting. But anyway, yeah, you're right. I mean, they did a good job. I think they knew their audience. There's a reason why 127 million people watched the game and 135 million tuned in for the halftime show. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, the reason I watched the game was to root for the Seahawks to beat the Patriots. And so I'm glad that that came true also. But because I'm a lifelong New Yorker, I definitely am not a Patriots fan. So anyway, Dom, what do you think?
So much here, man. So much here, and even on that other alternative halftime show, whatever. If you can, if you're trying to compete with the Super Bowl, you're not going to compete with the Super Bowl. But I wondered at 5 million, just like the Puppy Bowl, some people love puppies and they go over to the Puppy Bowl. So they gave them what they want. This other halftime show that gave some people an alternative voice. It's not my choice, but if people wanted an alternative voice, they were able to use the NFL's popularity, jump on that, and give you some alternative voice. I mean, not for me, but they did it. Okay, Tom, can we do a positive memory lane? What do we got here? You ready for this?
I mean, that's entirely up to you. If your memory lane is positive, then I think, yeah, we absolutely can do a positive memory lane. As long as you're not going to pull out your gallbladder, are you?
No, my gallbladder, I will tell you. I went to a brewery on Sunday and had like a breakfast at a brewery, and my gallbladder has scared me since my loss of gallbladder. Maybe I went too fast with the brewery and gallbladder, so now I'm straight edge. I want to drink water and have like only healthy things. But that's not memory lane, so I'll go memory lane. Memory lane, Tom. 2 weeks, February 20th through 22nd, Creative Con. You were part of the first Creative Con 3 years ago, us putting together something where we thought, hey, let's create a place for business owners where they can talk on the stage, share what they do as a business, and help other people. We had no clue what we were doing as far as events. We hosted it. It turned out well. We got some people there. The energy was off the charts. Now, 3 years later, this community has grown. And now even the messaging of the community, the brand, what it is, we figured out. Like over the years, you're like, well, what is this thing we're trying to create? So Creative Con at 3 years in, now I'm going to hold a book up from year one. This is a book. I see Tom's name on it, Heidi Dunstan, Julie Loken. It took so many people to create this community. And what the community really is at this point is we work 60,000 hours in our lifetime. Why can't business be fun? Why can't business be supportive? So if you believe that business is changing, that people use publishing these days, they use media these days, they use video, we're trying to create a community for you, for that business owner that says, I'm a real estate agent. I see how video could be valuable. I'm a author and I see how it might be important to use social media. And then so we're bringing in the experts. It's next weekend, February 20th, 22nd. Come out to Chicago, get to Creative Con 3. But this is where it started, Creative Con 1. So you put an idea out there. And being an entrepreneur, it's not just a job, it's a lifestyle. So that's what I have for you today about Creative Con and my memory lane. Thanks, Tom.
I appreciate that. I do. I remember fondly our road trip out to Creative Con and our time there. I had a great. It was a great time, and it was actually the first time after years of work collaborating. Creating this show together, doing a whole bunch of stuff together that we had actually met in person. So it was a lot of fun. You were kind enough to open your home up to me and have me as a guest there, show me around Pittsburgh, even though apparently you now regret that because I don't watch football as much as you would like me to, which is a little weird. But I appreciate it, and I had a ton of fun. And yeah, I think anybody who's a creative entrepreneur who's in the area should check out Creative Con in a couple of weeks for sure. But yeah, I think with that, we're right up at the hour. What do you think? Should we just wrap it up?
Yeah, unless you want to give a virtual half thumbs up and half thumbs down like that one you did today before you pulled out a good one. So go on, Tom.
I will. I think I'll just wrap it up quickly, and the way I'll wrap it up is this: it is incredibly important if you create content, if you tell stories, if you deliver messaging. If you have a business, it is incredibly important that you know your audience and that you understand and appreciate that your audience can change, and you put your audience first when it comes to how you deliver content and messaging and who you market to, right? So as Dr. Tachi very wisely said before, ask questions and then listen to the answers, right? Your audience will tell you what they want. All you have to do is listen. That's all I got for this week. I think that'll wrap it up for us today. We appreciate all you guys being here with us as always. You are the reason why we do this, because we are not the smartest guys in the room. For Dom, I'm Tom. Thanks again. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week. Until then, have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. Love you guys. Bye-bye.